In this video, we'll be discussing the components of the circulatory system, primarily blood. While everybody has blood, there are differences between blood types. The differences between blood types are defined by the presence of antigens, antibodies, and Rh factors. Antigens in blood are proteins that coat the surface of red blood cells and are known as self-antigens, meaning that since the body itself produced them, the immune system recognizes them and does not attack those red blood cells. Antibodies are the immune response to foreign antigens and will attach to and initiate the process to destroy unknown antigens. Lastly, Rh proteins are an additional type of antigen, which is denoted as being present or absent. The most common blood type is type O positive blood. The red blood cell of this type of blood have no A or B antigens, but they do have Rh factors present. Let's discuss this in more detail. Type A red blood cells have A antigens on the surface with anti-B antibodies in the plasma. Plasma is the fluid that red blood cells are in. Type B red blood cells have only B antigens on the surface and anti-A antibodies in the plasma. Type AB red blood cells have both A and B antigens on red blood cells, but no anti-A or anti-B antibodies in the plasma. Lastly, type O red blood cells have both anti-A and anti-B antibodies, but no surface antigens. If antibodies come into contact with their designated target antigen, they will attach to it in a process called agglutination. This is important when it comes to the biomedical engineering application of blood transfusion, as an incompatible transfusion may result in massive agglutination and subsequent death. Next, let's discuss Rh factors. If the red blood cells have the Rh factor protein on the surface, that would make them Rh positive. If they lack the Rh factor proteins, then they are Rh negative. Generally speaking, about 85% of the individuals are Rh positive. While Rh factor does not affect overall health, it is relevant when it comes to pregnancies. Incompatibilities occur when a woman with Rh negative blood is pregnant with a child that is Rh positive, which can happen because, as with blood types, you receive one Rh factor gene from each parent. The pregnant woman's immune system creates antibodies against the antigen, which attack the baby that is now considered a foreign object. Bringing this back to blood transfusions, a person who is Rh positive cannot receive Rh negative blood, as they will also treat it as a foreign substance. This is all a lot to unpack. This means that not everyone can receive every type of blood. Type O blood is called the universal donor because everyone can receive blood from a type O donor. But this also means that type O recipients can only receive from a type O donor. This is because type O individuals don't have any antigens on their red blood cell surface. Because there are no antigens, then there are no targets for the anti-A and anti-B antibodies to attack. Type AB individuals can only donate to others with type AB blood, but can receive from type O, AB, A, or B, because they have both A and B antigens with no anti-A or anti-B antibodies. Type A can donate to A or AB, but can only receive from A or O because of the presence of A antigens. and type B can donate to B or AB, but can only receive from B or O because of the presence of B antigens. Now, let's review the larger circulatory system. All of the components that we have previously discussed, such as red blood cells, antibodies, and plasma, are contained within and travel within the circulatory system. The circulatory system can be broadly divided up into 3 different vessel types: arteries, veins, and capillary beds. Arteries are blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart and is characterized as thick-walled blood vessels with smooth muscle surrounding it. Veins are blood vessels that carry blood towards the heart and is characterized as thinner-walled blood vessels with valves in them to prevent backflow of blood. Capillary beds are extremely thin blood vessels, which are thin enough to allow nutrients and gases to flow across the boundary. Capillaries are typically found innervating organs and other sensitive anatomical structures. Let's discuss capillaries in more detail. As you can see in this diagram, they often bridge the gap between arteries and veins. They are extremely small blood vessels, which are just big enough to allow a single red blood cell to pass through. The thin wall of the capillary vessel allows gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide to permeate through, along with nutrients and waste products. As you can see in this diagram, the artery and venous systems in your body are quite extensive and cover the entire length of your body. Now that you have a working knowledge of the anatomy and components of the circulatory system, we can discuss different blood-related diseases and pathologies. Anemia is a condition in which you lack enough healthy red blood cells to carry adequate oxygen to your body's tissues. Having anemia can make you feel tired and weak. There are many forms of anemia, each with its own cause. Anemia can be temporary or long-term, and it can range from mild to severe anemia. Next, let's discuss hemophilia, which is a blood disorder where blood does not clot properly. This condition is typically caused by a hereditary lack of a coagulation factor, typically factor VIII. When blood cannot clot properly, excessive bleeding, internal and external, occurs after any injury or damage. Symptoms may include large or deep bruises, joint pain and swelling, unexplained bleeding, and blood in urine or stool. Hemophilia is quite rare, and there are fewer than 200,000 cases in the US per year. As you can see in the diagram, it shows the different repair pathologies of a healthy and a hemophiliac individual. In the healthy individual, clotting is sufficient to form a complete plug at the site of a cut, which stops bleeding. In an individual with hemophilia, the clotting factors are insufficient to form a complete plug at the site of a cut, which results in prolonged bleeding. Treatment of hemophilia includes injection of a clotting factor or additional plasma. In the next video, we will discuss how blood transfusions work and the technology behind it.